Good morning everyone. In this class we are going to discuss about the topic multiplexing. So first we will see what actually happens when multiplexing is done. Then we will discuss about the definition of the technical definition of multiplexing. Imagine you are having different sources like computers. Different computers are there and you want to send message signals M1, M2, M3 and M4 to a point to another point. So what actually happens in multiplexing is that there is a device called a multiplexer. It will collect all these signals from the different sources and combine it into a single signal. All these signals, that is M1, M2, M3, M4. Multiplexer will collect all these signals from different sources and it will combine all these signals into one composite signal and send it through a single medium. So at the receiving side, this is actually what happens in the transmitting side. So in the receiving side, what happens is that this single composite signal is received by another device called a demultiplexer, and this demultiplexer separates these composite signals into the respective individual components and send it to the point B, distribute it to the destination, that is point B. This is actually what is called as multiplexing. That is, in multiplexing, we are combining signals from different sources, input signals from different sources into a single composite signal and then transmitting this single composite signal through a medium. Now the question is, what is the advantage of using multiplexing in data communication? Here, as you can see that there is only a single channel between this source and destination, right? So imagine that the channel is having a bandwidth of 500 megahertz. Okay, so if the channel is having 500 megahertz and if we want to transmit a voice signal, we all know that the bandwidth of the voice signal is in the range of 0 to 4 kilohertz. We all know that is 0 to 4 kilohertz. This is the bandwidth of the voice signal. So if you want to transmit a voice signal through this channel, suppose you are using a coaxial cable as a medium. There are different kinds of medium. That means it can be wired or wireless. If it is wired, then it can be coaxial cable, twisted pair cable, optical fiber cable. There are so many mediums. Suppose it is a coaxial cable and it is having a bandwidth of around 500 megahertz, and if we want to transmit a voice signal of which has a frequency range of 0 to 4 kilohertz, usually we take it as 4 kilohertz. So when we transmit such a signal through this medium, what happens is that it will occupy only a small portion of this bandwidth, and what happens is that the remaining portion is not utilized, right? So which means that here the entire bandwidth is not effectively utilized. So to avoid this, to overcome this disadvantage, we are using the technique multiplexing. When we use multiplexing, what we are actually doing is that we are sending multiple signals over the same channel. That is, we are sending multiple signals over the same channel, which means that there will be a number of signals through this channel so that the entire bandwidth of the channel is effectively and completely utilized. So this is what is the first advantage of multiplexing. Another is that you can reduce the transmission cost to a greater extent, because imagine you are using one wire for each signal you are sending, then you can imagine the cost. It will be very high and it is not at all possible also. So in this case, multiplexing is done to what actually happens in multiplexing is that we are sharing the medium, that is, a single medium is shared by signals from the different sources. This is what is called as multiplexing. So once again I will tell, multiplexing is a technique of combining signals from different sources into a single signal, composite signal, and sending it through a single medium. So here what actually happens is that the medium is shared by different signals. Now there are different techniques. There are so many techniques are available for doing multiplexing. You will be familiar with most of them, like frequency division multiplexing, then time division multiplexing, then there is wavelength division multiplexing, Then there is orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. So many multiplexing techniques are there. In this particular class, we are going to discuss about frequency division multiplexing, which is a basic multiplexing technique. Okay, which has numerous applications, like in our cable TV transmission, in telephone, old telephonic system we were using it. You all may be knowing about FM broadcasting, AM broadcasting. In all these we are using frequency division multiplexing. So now let us discuss what actually happens in frequency division multiplexing. Now, as I said, frequency division multiplexing is a technique of multiplexing in which we are dividing the total bandwidth of the channel. The channel can be anything, like wired or wireless. If it is wired, then it can be coaxial cable, optical fiber, or twisted pair if it in the case of telephone voice, transmitting voice signal. So there can be different kind of medium also. So whatever may be the medium, what we are doing is that we are dividing the total bandwidth of the medium into smaller frequency bands, which can be called as smaller channels. So through this channel we will be transmitting the signals. So at the same time the channel is shared by a larger number of signals. So now let us see into depth what actually happens in the frequency division multiplexing. Here in this figure you can see that there are three message signals, M1, M2 and M3. So in frequency division multiplexing, first we will shift each signal to a different frequency called here the carrier frequency is F1, here the carrier frequency is F2 and here the carrier frequency is F3. Here the message M1 will be shifted to this particular frequency, here M2 will be shifted to this particular frequency and M3 will be shifted to this particular frequency. Now this message M1 will be having a frequency will be having a carrier modulated in accordance with the carrier frequency F1. Message M2 will be modulated in accordance with the carrier frequency F2. Message M3 will be modulated in accordance with the carrier frequency F3. Now what we will do is that we will combine all these signals into a single signal. Here you have to note one point that is this frequency division multiplexing is an analog multiplexing technique, which means that whatever may be the input signal, that is the input signal can be analog or digital, but the composite signal here, the output, this particular single composite signal will be in the analog form only. So if the signals you are receiving at this point is analog, then you need to simply multiplex it and transmit. Then at the receiving side you need to simply demultiplex it. That's it. But if the received signal is not, if the input signal from the source is not an analog signal, if it is a digital signal, then you have to convert this analog signal into this digital signal into an analog signal. That is, the digital signal should be converted to this analog form, and then you have to do this entire procedure. For converting this digital signal to analog signal, we have studied so many techniques, and we will be in the circuit part we will be using a modem for this purpose. So for anyway, whatever may be the input signal, whether it is an analog signal or digital signal, you have to here the signal is only analog. If it is a digital signal, you have to convert it into an analog signal. Now this is the part, this entire section is called as multiplexing. You are combining the three message signals into a single composite signal and you are transmitting it through the single channel. Now in the demultiplexing, now we will see what happens on the receiver side of this frequency division multiplexing. Now we will see what happens in the receiving side of frequency division multiplexing. So this is our composite signal, that is we have combined all the three message signals into one signal. So here at the receiving side, everyone will be receiving the entire composite signal, right? So what will happen is that when it reaches this particular filter will be having some frequency range. For you to understand, I will tell you an example. So imagine you are having a voice signals in three voice signals. You are sending three voice signals having 4 kilohertz in the range of 4 kilohertz. So this 4 kilohertz and the channel bandwidth is 12 kilohertz. So the channel, this is a channel, total channel bandwidth, and this is the bandwidth of the signal, and the channel bandwidth starts from 20 kilohertz to 32 kilohertz. Okay, so how you will be allotting the frequency? It will be from 20 to 24 will be the frequency range of one message signal. From 24 to 28 will be the frequency range of another message signal, and from 28 to 32 kilohertz will be the frequency range of the third. Let us say M1, M2 and M3. So the 4 kilohertz is the bandwidth of the individual signal. So you have the bandwidth of the channel as 12 kilohertz, and the frequency, that is the frequency of the channel, starts from 20 kilohertz is 20 kilohertz to 32 kilohertz. So how you will be allocating? So each signal M1, each voice signal will be having 4 kilohertz. So 20 to 24, 24 to 28, 28 to 32. So like that you are allotting 4 kilohertz. So message, this will be the frequency ranges of all the messages. So when a composite signal like this reaches the filter, this filter will be having the frequency range of 20 kilohertz to 24 kilohertz, and this will be having the frequency range from 24 kilohertz to 28k, and this will be having the frequency range from 28 to 32 kilohertz. Okay, so when this composite signal reaches the first filter, every filter will be receiving the composite signal only. So when this composite signal reaches the first filter, it will filter all the frequencies in between the range of 20 to 24 kilohertz. This filter will filter all the frequencies in the range of 24 to 28 kilohertz, and this filter will filter all the frequencies in the range between 28 to 32 kilohertz. Now after filtering, now you will be getting the modulated form of the signal that we have seen before. So now this modulated signal will be given to a demodulator. What the demodulator, what actually does is that it will extract the original signal from the modulated signal, and we will be getting our original message signal, which we will be distributing to the corresponding destination. So this entire process is what actually happens in the demultiplexing section. Okay, here the composite signal is first filtered, then when after filtering we will get the modulated signal, then we will send it to a demodulator, and after demodulation we will get the original message signal. This is how we are doing frequency division multiplexing. I hope that it is very clear to you. Now you can see that here, since the frequency range is very close to each other, there is a chance that the signal in this particular channel will interfere with this, and this signal of this particular channel will interfere with this channel. So this is one of the drawback of the frequency division multiplexing, and to overcome that drawback, what we will do is that we will allot guard bands in between these channels. Guard bands, GUARD, guard bands. So guard bands are nothing, they are narrow frequency ranges which is allotted between the individual channel. Like if you have the composite signal is your composite signal, the spectrum of the composite signal, if it looks like this, okay, so the space, some space is left, you can understand it in that way. Like up to this frequency range we will transmit the signal, and in this narrow frequency range we will not transmit anything. Then in this frequency range we will transmit. Then next the same, suppose this is 10 kilohertz, another 10 kilohertz will be left here, so that no signal is transmitted. So the chance of overlapping of signal is can be avoided. So this is what guard band is. This is for what guard bands are used. It is nothing, it is a narrow band of frequency range which is in between this individual channels, so that the signals does not overlap. This is to avoid crosstalk. Now we will see a simple example, so that you will understand how we can calculate the minimum channel bandwidth. Okay, so here assume that you are having 5 signals. each having a bandwidth of 100 kilohertz. So and we have to use a guard band of 10 kilohertz in between. So what will be the minimum bandwidth of the channel to transmit all these signals? It will be, there are 5 signals, each signal of having bandwidth 100 kilohertz, therefore it will be 5 into 100, that is 500 kilohertz. Okay, now it is not only this 500 kilohertz, you have to leave 10 kilohertz in between each of these 5 signals. So there will be at least how many guard bands you need? Suppose this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. So here one guard band, 2, 3, 4. Between these two signal, one guard band. Between these two, one. Between these two, one. And between these two, one. So there are total 4 guard bands we have to use. What is the frequency bandwidth of guard bands? It is 10 kilohertz. That is, it is 40 kilohertz. So minimum channel bandwidth should be 540 kilohertz. This is how you understand. You have to calculate the minimum required channel bandwidth for transmitting the signal. Here you have to note one point. In frequency division multiplexing, since we are using guard bands, here you can see that 40 kilohertz is allotted only for guard bands, right? That means that much amount of bandwidth is wasted here. So this is also another disadvantage of frequency division multiplexing. So these are the things. Advantage is that the entire channel is available for the user for the entire time, and it is simpler to implement also. But the disadvantages are like that, if since we are using guard bands, some amount of bandwidth is wasted. If any one particular user is not sending a signal, that particular channel will remain idle. So once again we will see what frequency division multiplexing is. It is an analog multiplexing technique. In frequency division multiplexing, the total bandwidth of the medium is divided into smaller channels, and such that the total bandwidth of the channel should be greater than the sum of the bandwidth of the individual channel. That is, if a channel is divided into, if a medium is divided into n channels, the sum of the individual bandwidth of the n channel, the total bandwidth of the channel should be greater than the sum of these bandwidth of the individual channels. Now we will be using guard bands to separate the individual channels. This is to avoid interference between the different channels, signals from the different channels. So these are the basic points you have to remember in frequency division multiplexing. Now we will see some practical applications of frequency division multiplexing. Now we will see the practical application of frequency division multiplexing. First one is a cable TV. In cable TV, a number of channels are available. So all these channels are sent to our home through a single wire only. So what actually happens here is that their frequency division multiplexing is used. So different channels are sent at different frequencies. So when you want to see channel number 22, what actually happens is that when you set the channel number to 22, the filter or the, here you can technically use the term tuner, or in the set-top box, a tuner in the set-top box, it will automatically lock its frequency to that particular range, and that particular signal is captured and it will be seen by you. So what actually happens here is that when you are seeing that particular channel, all other the messages of all other channels are also present there, but since you have selected the channel number 22, you are seeing only that. So the remaining channels, that is the remaining channels are remaining idle, which means that much amount of bandwidth is actually wasted there, right? So even in some cases it is another so that is another disadvantage of frequency division multiplexing. That means if we are if any particular part of the channel is not sending messages, that particular channel will remain idle and that bandwidth is not properly utilized. And in cable TV, what actually happens is this. So imagine if there is no multiplexing, then each channel, each channel will be sending their own signals through different wires. Can you imagine like that? So frequency division multiplexing made it possible that so many channels are made available to us through a single wire. So another is a FM and AM broadcasting. FM broadcasting, every one of us have heard about FM radio, right? FM radio, like suppose they are sending the signals at a particular frequency, like suppose the name of the FM radio station is Radio Mango. It is Radio Mango 91.9, like that they are telling, which means that they are sending the signal at this particular frequency. So there are a large number of FM radio stations. Here what actually happens is that all the FM radio station, they are using the medium as air. So everyone will be broadcasting their signals to the air. So Radio Mango will be broadcasting sending the signals at 91.9 frequency. Another will be sending at 98.3, so and so. So here what actually happens is that each one is sending their signals at particular frequencies. Now all the frequencies are available in the channel. So in the receiving side, that is in our FM radio receiver, when we set the channel frequency to 91.9, the filter in our, or the tuner in our receiver will filter that particular frequency, and we can listen to the programs of that particular radio station. That is what actually happens here. Actually, the FM will be having a frequency in the range of 88 to 108 megahertz. This is the bandwidth of the FM, and each station needs approximately 10 megahertz of the 200 kilohertz bandwidth. 200 kilohertz bandwidth. Each FM station requires a 200 kilohertz bandwidth. So what will have the spectrum of the FM will be in this range 88 to 108 megahertz, and each radio station needs a bandwidth of 200 kilohertz. So this signal, when received by the receiver, we will tune to a particular frequency. When we tune to a particular frequency 91.9, we will receive that particular radio station, and we can listen to the programs of that particular radio station. This is what happens in FM. Similar is with the case of AM also. AM is having the spectrum range from 530 to 1700 kilohertz. 1700 kilohertz. Okay. So this is what happens in FM and AM. In telephone system, the same thing happens. I am not telling about between the user and the exchange, there may be multiplexing is not possible because there is only one wire. But between the local exchange and the higher exchange, between the exchanges, they will collect the voice signals from different inputs, and they will combine all these signal into a composite signal, and they will transmit it through a coaxial cable to another exchange. From there, they will multiplex it again, then they will transmit it, like that it continues. Okay, so this is what happens in the telephone system. So in telephone system also, from you should note that from user to the exchange, the multiplexing is not possible, but from between exchanges, what they doing is that they will collect all the signals, they will do frequency division multiplexing on it, and they will transmit it through the coaxial cable. Then in the another exchange, they will receive it, they will do again the same procedure, like that it happens. This is happening in the first generation telephone system. So these all are the practical applications of frequency division multiplexing. So I hope everything is clear to you. Thank you.